Hello there. Thank you for joining us for the whole news broadcast from Canada. My name is Sandra. Asante. Top stories. 7 die as drought ravages southern Ethiopia. At least 112 people killed in fighting in the Somaliland. There's some more stories after the break. Stay tuned. You're welcome back from the break to our first story. At least 7 people have died from starvation in the Reda area in the southern Ethiopia following severe drought, local authorities and residents have told the BBC. Denke Warrior district administrator in the zone of the Oromia region, close to the country's border with neighboring Kenya, said among those dead were a 2-month-old baby and elderly people. People are not eating for many days. Their cattle are all dead. He said, Goyu Turu, a resident of the district, which is mostly populated by the pastoralist community, said his 16-year-old son has also died. He got sick because of hunger. We have nothing. When we took him to the hospital, they told us his illness was related to the shortage of food. He died shortly after that, the father also stated. Mr. Guru told the BBC that his family has lost all their cattle. Another resident also said that he lost all but for his 150 cattle. More than 800,000 people required emergency food assistance because of the drought, according to the Disaster Prevention and Food Security Office in the Boreno zone. The number of people seeking aid is increasing. The head of the office stated, food aid is being provided by the government and the non-governmental organizations, but the needs are far higher than what has been delivered. The branch of the office in the area, however, said that it had no information about the people dying from food scarcity. The Horn of Africa region is suffering from what the UN called the most severe drought in 2 generations after 5 consecutive failed rainy seasons. The UN Migration Agency, IOM, had previously said more than 4.5 million cattle had died since 2021 because of the drought in Ethiopia. We move to Djibouti, and the tiny Horn of Africa nation of Djibouti is voting in the parliamentary elections on Friday that have been boycotted by the main opposition parties, who have branded the polls a sham. Only 2 parties are contesting seats in the 65-member National Assembly, where veteran President Ismail Omar Guelleh's ruling union for the presidential majority, UMP, is assured of victory. Despite the diminutive size, Djibouti enjoys a strategically crucial position at the mouth of the Red Sea, using it would trade investors, said foreign military powers. The opposition charges the polling, which follows the presidential ballots in April 2021, that saw Guelleh re-elected for the 5th time with the 97% of vote, will not be free and fair. This election is only a formality. Nothing will change, a 32-year-old unemployed man who gave his name as Ali said. Guelleh, 75, has ruled Djibouti with an iron fist since 1999, and the country has seen an erosion of press freedom and a crack of dissent. The economy took hits in 2022 after the war in Ukraine, a regional drought, and a fallout from the 2-year conflict in neighboring Ethiopia. But it is expected to grow by about 5% this year, according to the International Monetary Fund, IMF. We are in Somalia, and at least 112 people have been killed and more than 500 wounded in a fierce fighting in the town of the last note in Somali's breakaway region, Somaliland, a medical official said on Tuesday. Abdi Majid Hussein Sugule, the Director General of the Public Hospital in Lasano, provided the latest figures to Anolu by phone from the fighting between the Somaliland forces and the local clan fighters, which has been going on around for 3 weeks. More than 8 people were killed in today's heavy fighting alone, and many others were wounded. Some of those hit by the bullets and shells were admitted to the hospital, Sagule said. He said Tuesday's fighting was among the fiercest and also continued for more than 7 hours. He added that casualties included medical workers. Fighting started in the Lassanod, the administrative capital of the Somaliland East Seoul region, after a group of local leaders, civil society groups, and the religious leaders announced last week that they would no longer recognize the Somaliland government. In a statement, they said the territory will now be ruled from Mogadishu's, that is Somali's capital. The Somaliland administration has labeled the local forces terrorists and blamed them for the violence. The Seoul and Sanang regions have been disputed territories, with both Somaliland and the Puntland state claiming ownership. Mohammed Hussein Gas, the director of the Rad Peace Research Institute in Mogadishu, who spoke to the Anolu over the phone, said the conflict in the Lassanod is rooted in Somaliland's occupation of the Seoul region since 2007. Which is against the will of the overwhelming majority of the local population. The prolonged occupation has led to extreme political, economic, and social marginalization and the subjugation of the Duba Hante clan, which includes the assassination of more than 120 prominent community leaders and clan elites. In response to the Lassanod population rose up to demonstrate against Somaliland, where Somaliland used excessive force against demonstrating civilians, he said that only feasible and viable solution to the conflict in Lassanod is an immediate, unconditional, and also a genuine ceasefire. Somaliland forces must also withdraw from the Seoul region, he concluded. To our next story in Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso's military government has announced a drive to recruit another 5,000 soldiers to help in the fight against jihadists. Defense Minister Colonel Kassim Koulibaly said the recruit must be between 20 and 35 years old and be prepared to serve in the army for at least 5 years. A week ago, more than 50 soldiers were killed in the north of the country. At least 15 others were also reported to have died on Monday in an ambush by militants affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group. Since the Islamist insurgency began in 2015, nearly 2 million people have been displaced. Sudan has once again abstained from voting on a non-Biden resolution by the United Nations Assembly General demanding Russia withdraw troops from Ukraine and end hostilities. To mark the first anniversary of the Russians' invasion of Ukraine, 141 out of 193 UNAG members adopted resolution calling on Russia to end an aggression on its neighboring country. 7 countries voted against, including Belarus, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Eritrea, Mali, Nicaragua, Russia, and Syria, while 32 others, including Sudan, Ethiopia, and South Africa, abstained. The Assembly General reiterated its demand that Russia immediately, completely, and unconditionally withdraw all its military forces from the territory of Ukraine, called for a cessation of hostilities, reached the resolution. In October 16, 2022, Sudan abstained to endorse a UNGA resolution condemning Russia's annexation of the 4 Ukraine regions and affirming support to Ukraine's territorial integrity. During a meeting with the heads of the military-controlled Sovereignty Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan in Khartoum on the 9th of February, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov praised Sudan's support for his country during the UNAG meeting attended by the former personally. During the same meeting, the Al-Bahrain praised Russia's supportive stance towards Sudan in regional and international forums. Some African countries, such as Mauritania and Estonia, that were part of Lavrov's recent African tour, also approved the GA resolution. As a permanent member of the Security Council, Russia vetoed by resolution related to its invasion of Ukraine. As a result, the AG has replaced the UN body tasked with maintaining international security, even if its decisions are only an expression of international opinion. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Horn News. My name is Sandra Asante. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Justice for all.